ruin has come to our family. You remember our venerable house? Opulent and imperial, gazing proudly from its stoic perch above the moor. I lived all my years in that ancient, rumor-shadowed manor, fattened by decadence and luxury. And yet I began to tire of conventional extravagance. Singular, unsettling tales suggested the mansion itself was a gateway to some fabulous and unnameable power. With relic and ritual, I bent every effort towards the excavation and recovery of those long-buried secrets, exhausting what remained of our family fortune on swarthy workmen and sturdy shovels. At last, in the salt-soaked crags beneath the lowest foundations, we unearthed that damnable portal of antediluvian evil. Our every step unsettled the ancient earth, but we were in a realm of death and madness. In the end, I alone fled laughing and wailing through those blackened arcades of antiquity, until consciousness failed me. You remember our venerable house, opulent and imperial. It is a festering abomination. I beg you, return home, claim your birthright, and deliver our family from the ravenous, clutching shadows of the darkest dungeon.
Darkest Dungeon is about making the most of a bad situation. Quests will fail or must be abandoned. Heroes will die, and when they die, they stay dead. Progress autosaves constantly, so actions are permanent. Welcome everybody, this is Poisonducky, and this is going to be my Darkest Dungeon playthrough. Mainly directed towards my friends to watch, but if you're new, that's great. Now this is going to be a modded campaign, because mods bring a lot of life to this game. Let's see, I do have all the DLC, and I will be going through it, including the Crimson Court, even though it makes the game quite a bit harder. And let's start this campaign. I'm going to be choosing the darkest difficulty. Radiant's a little too easy, and Blood Moon, I don't like the time constraint that it puts on you. So darkest is, I think it's the best way to enjoy the game, to be honest. Let's name it the Poisonducky Estate. Don't forget to enable our mods. This might take a bit. I have a lot of mods. Some of them are going to make the game slightly easier, but it's not so much of an easier experience, but it's going to be a more enjoyable experience. You can see you notice I have a lot of Marvin Sayo and Action Jack mods. They make the game quite fun. There's going to be a plethora of classes and lots of new mechanics that these mods add. These are all the Marvin Sayo mods. Alright, let's get into it.
You will arrive along the old road. It winds with a troubling, serpent-like suggestion through the corrupted countryside, leading only, I fear, to ever more tenebrous places. There is a sickness in the ancient, pitted cobbles of the old road, and on its writhing path, you will face viciousness, violence, and perhaps other damnably transcendent terrors. So steel yourself, and remember there can be no bravery without madness. The old road will take you to hell, but in that gaping abyss, we will find our redemption.
The old road. The first mission. It may take a little bit to load here. It always takes a little bit to load the first mission. But here, read the description. With the stagecoach destroyed and the caretaker gone, you will have to make the journey to the hamlet on foot. So in the story-wise, you're taking, you are the heir. You're taking the stagecoach over to the hamlet, but something happens to it. And we only have 2 heroes to guard us. Oh, I don't know. Maybe not. Okay. So we're starting with our 2 characters, Reynald and Dismas, our Crusader, our Deus Volter, and our Highwayman, Dismas. Let's see if we can use one of our cool skins we have for him. Yeah, I'll go for the Bloodborne looking Highwayman. So, if you're new to Darkest Dungeon works as a roguelike turn-based fighting game. Not a fighting game, turn-based strategy game, I would say. Where each character can have up to 4 abilities slotted, and with a party of up to 4. Currently, we only have a party of 2, and you will be exploring dungeons.
Brigands have run up these lanes. Keep to the side path. The hamlet is just ahead.
This game is very heavily inspired by, I would say, probably heavily inspired by D&D and how the mechanics work.
This thug in brutal fashion, that all may hear of your arrival.
Here's our first combat situation, encounter. So start out, each character has the 4 abilities, and each ability can only use these abilities in certain positions. If you see the 3 yellow dots on the left, that's the positions in which you can use this ability. And if you look on the right of the ability, the red dots is the positions you can hit the enemy with. So you can see this ability, Open Vein, can be used in positions 1, 2, and 3, and attack positions, enemy positions 1 and 2. He's in position 1, so go. And the Crusader here, he's a frontline character, extremely good in the front lines of the. Usually, I consider the front lines the first 2 positions, position 1 and 2. He has abilities that can be used in all of them can be used in the front positions. And in this case, I'm going to be using Smite, which is just a single target hit that does extra damage to undead. But this guy's a human, so, and he misses. Welcome to Darkest Dungeon, everybody. This is the actual start of the playthrough.
Maintain the offensive.
Let's move you back. You can move position using this button here because you want him in the front. And a tent. These are curios, interactable items that you can see while going through the dungeon, and you can select them and you get to see what they do. You can use items to enhance their effect, and here we go.
A handsome
we
reward
found gold
for a task well performed.
Thank you, Wayne June. Wayne June's the voice narrator, by the way.
There is much to be found in forgotten places.
Now that he's in second position and
Send
up front.
these vermin a message. The rightful owner has returned, and their kind is no longer welcome.
Thanks, Wayne June. Now that he's in second position, he can use a lot of his abilities that he's meant to, like Pistol Shot, Grape Shot Blast. You can only use in position 2 and 3. Pistol Shot you can use 2, 3, and 4. So this, you'll find that the Highwayman can either be, he is a hybrid. He can truly fight in any position, but currently he's a second line fighter. So I will be going, I'm going to actually focus fire this guy. And as you can see, Dismas also puts a bleed on. His other ability has a bleed. Bleeds are just damage over times. Pretty simple. Alright, in this case, I'm just going to go for the normal smite attack. I want to go for the damage over times in this game do stack. Now he's doing for 4 per round. That's great. Now my heroes are bleeding. This should be the end. Damage over times work by at the beginning of the round in which the character acts. That's when they take the damage in which. That's when they take the damage from damage over times like bleeds and blights.
Press this advantage. Give them no quarter.
All right. With that done, we will return to the hamlet. This is the menu after every single quest or dungeon crawl, and we will see that characters get quirks, diseases, all sorts of things. In this case, Dismas gets a quirk. I'll explain that later.
Welcome home, such as it is. This squalid hamlet, these corrupted lands, they are yours now, and you are bound to them.
Welcome to the hamlet, the Poisonducky estate. Now, this is the Firelink Shrine, or the Majula of Darkest Dungeon. It's the base point in which you upgrade your heroes. You can reduce their stress, put away their quirks or diseases, upgrade their armor, and upgrade their abilities. And also recruit new heroes. Let's start with a stagecoach.
Women and men, soldiers and outlaws, fools and corpses. All will find their way to us now that the road is clear.
So the stagecoach is where we get new recruits for our adventuring party. And it seems we have 3. Normally it would be 2, but with mods we have 3. I upgraded the stagecoach as I like more heroes. And usually you would have a different set of heroes, but because of mods I get any type of hero. Here's the Hellion. Let's see here. I have the Dark Soul skin for him. I'll just use the base Hellion skin. We have the Wraith and the Dragon Slayer. I'll definitely get all 3 of them right now.
Barbaric rage and unrelenting savagery make for a powerful ally.
Thank you. So, as I said earlier, I'll explain the quirk system. Every character is its own character. Wow. If you look at their quirks, it's like their little nicks and knacks like of their personality. Like this person, this Crusader, Reynald, he's God-fearing. In town, he will only pray for stress relief. These are the negative quirks, by the way, and these are the positive. So that's a negative. He can only pray for stress relief. Another one, this is a big one. He's a kleptomaniac. It's going to be quite annoying later on. He's going to whistle a lot. You'll see what I mean later. He's prone to stealing items that we find. Also, a positive quirk is that he's the Warrior of the Light. He has plus 10% damage if the torch is above 75%. Pretty simple. Nothing too much to explain there. The graveyard is where we see our dead heroes.
Covered in the poisoned earth, awaiting merciful oblivion.
Luckily for us, we don't have any dead heroes. Might I say, it is actually possible to get the 2 heroes at the beginning of the match, the game, to die. And then you just end up here with no heroes. Which is great.
Trinkets and charms, gathered from all the forgotten corners of the earth.
This is the Nomad Wagon. You spend gold for trinkets. I'll explain trinkets in a second. And here is the DLC Nomad Wagon, which I'll be using. So how trinkets work. Each character has 2 slots for trinkets. And you have trinkets here. And they usually have positive and sometimes negative buffs to this. So if I, for instance, this trinket gives plus 20 blight resistance. If I give it to him, use one of his 2 slots, He has plus 20% light resistance. Simple as that. Of course, I'm not going to be using that. This is a fairly bad trinket. It's too low impact. And then with nothing else...
In time, you will know the tragic extent of my failings.
This is just the Ancestors' Memories. If you want to go back in the game and want to see like what Wayne Ju narrate all your adventures and failures, you can come here, look at your cinematics and all sorts of stuff. I won't be using it too often, or at all probably. But with all that said, let's just go on our next journey.
A mecca of madness and morbidity. Your work begins.
And with that, we have our map. We have different sections of the map. We have the Darkest Dungeon, which we need to do to beat the game. And we have our different sections in which we explore to level up our characters, get gold. These two being the DLC, the Farmstead and the Courtyard. And let's set up our crew. We don't have a healer, let it be known, but that's okay. Let's see, does he have good ranged abilities? He does. Interesting. Alright. So he does have abilities that are useful in range, but I'm going to put him here because his Reap ability can only be used in position 2. All of these can be used position 2 or 3. So this guy's a midline fighter kind of class. Dismas can use most of his abilities in position 2 as 3 as well. So I'm going to put him in 3. I want to keep the Crusader in front. It's always good to keep the Crusader in front. And who else can I choose? Who has a good back line? That's a front line. That's a backline Lightning Spear. That's a... Alright, Princess Guard. That's any line. And Lightning Impale. I will keep the Dragon Slayer actually in the backline. And of course these are obviously very Dark Souls inspired heroes, or straight up copies. Except for the Wraith. This is a Marvin Sayo mod. Alright, let's rename some of our characters after some friends that will be watching this, I hope. A Dragon Slayer. Well, if I'm going to play one of my friends that plays a lot of Dark Souls, this will be the Dragon Slayer. SS Lawless. I'll be calling a lot of these people, when I name them, their gamer tags that I know, I'll be calling them by their first names when I play. And for the Wraith. Who wants to be a Wraith? With his chain and hook. Who should I name? You know? I think I'll go with the classic. So there's Tyler, my friend, and here's a Jaren. I'm going to be keeping Dismas and Reynald as their names because, you know, they're the classic. There is an achievement for beating the game with the first 2 characters you start out, and I intend on doing that. When you choose a quest right here, you see the loot you kind of get for finishing it, and you can see the goals. Explore 90% of the rooms. It tells you how long the quest is. It's a short one, and what level is appropriate for the kind of characters that are fighting in it. Let's go into the provisions. This episode's going to be a little explainy.
Measured now in gold, later in blood.
Blood, of course. This episode's going to be a little explainy, but well, you have to understand to have fun. All right, so we're going to have the provisions portion. We have food, which obviously feeds the party when they get into the dungeon. We have shovels to clear obstacles. I'm going to be taking one of these. Some torches to make sure you don't fight in the dark. And up here, a skeleton key would be nice. And I think that is all. Yeah, I believe that's all. So let's go into this. We have our line, our party, and let's go. It is our first expedition into the ruins. I've put a little bit of time in this game beforehand, so I know that the ruins is very undead filled. So I'm going to go into the map here, and you can see I can choose the destination I want to go to in this dungeon crawler. So I choose this direction because it's the only one. Another curio here. We got a torch. I can light it up.
The way is lit. The path is clear. We require only the strength to follow it.
All right. So here's the torchlight mechanic. We obviously using torches increases it, and we get certain bonuses or negative debuffs depending on how much light there is. Currently we're at 100%, so we only get buffs. And you'll see the kind of negative debuffs we get if the light gets too dark. And if we gets to pitch dark, then yeah. You don't want that. Let's start out. You'll find that if you look at the bottom right of the screen, you can see resistances of the enemy. This is an undead. It turns out you can't bleed something that doesn't have blood. So I shouldn't be using attacks like Open Vein, which give bleed attacks. I should be using my gun. Good job, Darren. Let's go.
Be gone, fiend.
And Tyler pulls it through with a crit.
Back to the pit.
First attack of the game, and it's crit. Another curio, a strongbox. And it has treasure. That's nice.
Waiting to be spent.
Another mechanic that needs to be explained is the stress mechanic. You don't just have to deal with hit points in this game. When you're exploring in the dungeons of Darkest, people get stressed. It turns out, when attacking your nightmares, you don't feel good. Now, the different milestones is if you get to 100 stress, something will happen. You'll either get, you tend to go crazy, or you feel more powerful. You feel the stress makes you powerful, like some students in a college dorm. And at 200 stress, you get a heart attack, where you have a little too much stress and you get reduced to 0 hit points. And at past that, another heart attack will just kill you. You don't want that to happen. And also, we get a scout. When you scout, it just shows you what's ahead. Very useful.
Even the cold stone seems bent on preventing passage.
Going to use a shovel to move that away. And you are getting... Okay. Now we're dim light, so the monsters get slightly higher stress attacks and have a higher chance of crits. I don't like that. I'm going to see here. And in this formation, you see, there's 2 skeletons and a human. Now, there's certain types of enemies. They're called stress damage dealers. If you hit this guy, if this guy hits you, more so, you will increase your stress a heavy amount. You want to kill these guys extremely quickly. Sorry. Pew! Like that. Set plus 17 stress. I'm going to kill you. And you're dead.
Falls,
Alright, Tyler, I believe in you. I believe in you. Let's, you have a chance to kill this guy in one shot, so... And you do.
Abomination cleansed from our lands.
Zap.
Press this advantage. Give them no quarter.
Another torch. Isn't that nice?
The light, the promise of safety.
I'm going to choose this path. We still don't have any healers. Don't whistle. Okay. A skeleton key. Always go for the background.
Their formation
Nice
is
crit.
broken. Maintain the offensive.
Now this, I'm going to use an ability here called Sap, which is useful for the Wraith. And if you read the description, it has a stun chance. So stun is pretty easy to explain. He resisted it, but I'll try it one more time. Alright, so when you're stunned, it means the next turn you can't do anything. Just like that. Let's go for the kill.
Confidence surges as the enemy crumbles. Another one falls.
Another trinket. I don't need this though. Let's use curios. You can use certain items like a chest with a keyhole. I should use the key. And get another stunning satchel. That's great.
The match is struck. A blazing star is born.
There are traps in this game. Some you can see, some you can't. Yeah, thank God Jaren dodged it. When you get hit, you take a good amount of damage, like that, and you get a little bit more stressed.
Foul invention.
We got a surprise round. Surprise just means that we get to act first. Pretty simple. Now this backline usually have a front line of meat shields and damage dealers. This is a damage dealing backline, the Arbalist. You want him... He deals a lot more damage than these guys in general, but at least he doesn't do stress damage. So I'm still going to go for him, but he's a lot lower priority than stress damage dealers. And you missed. Thanks, Jaren.
Executed with impunity.
Let's go for a stun on him. For the kill, we'll go for you. Gunshot.
Continue the onslaught. Destroy them all. This expedition at least promises success.
Oh, I forgot to use the curio in here. Who needs it? You're not that stressed. You're kind of stressed. I'll choose Dismas. Actually, Tyler's probably going to be used in the next experience. So, a holy fountain, you should use holy water. And he's healed. And he loses all his stress.
As the light gains purchase, spirits are lifted, and purpose is made clear.
Don't whistle. Whistles.
Wealth beyond measure, awarded to the brave and the foolhardy alike.
Yeah, so when you have the ability of kleptomania, the quirk, you tend to steal stuff. Stuff that I could have used.
In Radiance, may we find victory.
Hunger check. Alright. When you complete the quest, it doesn't mean you've actually explored everything, so I'm going to keep on going. Mainly because I'm greedy. And that's what this game's all about. Another surprise. This is a stress healer. This is a damage dealer. I'm going to go for the stress. And of course, get him. Alright. Can I hit him in the back line? No, but I can stun him and pull him forward. And since he's stunned, I'm actually not going to go to attack him because I know his next turn will be cancelled, so I'm going to stun him. Even though she does blood, it still does damage, and I'm going to finish off the stress dealer.
As life ebbs, terrible.
Alright, I need to get
vistas
this
of
overdone. He went to
emptiness
0 hit
reveal
points.
themselves.
In this game, when you get to 0 hit points, you don't die. What happens is you get to death's door, and if I'll look over here at the character stats. So when you get to 0 hit points, you don't die, and every time somebody hits you, there's a percentage chance you'll actually die. It's called death blow resistance. He has 67% chance resistance. That means every time he gets hit, he has 100% minus 67% chance of actually dying. So if you have a character with high death blow resistance, sometimes they just never die. But I don't want to take that chance. I'm still going to hit you. Almost one shot. It's per hit. It missed. Okay. Dismas is in danger. Please don't kill him. He's my friend. Die. I need to finish the quest. The quest. No, 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 no. Okay, he survived. It happened. It's okay. I'm going to stun you now. And kill you. Because you are a problem. Because you can hit Dismas. I don't like that. In fact, I want to target you. Alright, this guy can only hit the first 2 ranks, I believe. So I'm okay. At least Dismas is. Let's go. And we get the...
These nightmarish creatures can be felled. They can be beaten.
And we get heirlooms. Heirlooms are the items you use to upgrade our estate. And let's finish this quest. Let's see. Compulsive. That's great. Alright, what do you got, Jaren? Plus 20% stress healing received in the brothel. Okay. That's what you are, Jaren.
Our family
Damn
name,
lolly.
once so well regarded, is now barely whispered aloud by decent folk.
Now that we have this, we have the tavern unlocked.
Fresh kegs, cards, and curtained rooms promise solace to the weary and broken alike.
You'll find that you can spend gold, which is on our bottom left right here, as a resource, and reduce people's stress. It's quite useful. But as known quirks, for instance, he has the known cheat, so he's not allowed to gamble. And we know that you
The
will
cobwebs
only...
have been dusted, the pews set straight. The abbey calls to the faithful.
We know that Mr. Crusader here will only pray for his stress relief. Also, the caretaker will randomly choose one of them and use them, which is very annoying. And then we can't use them, obviously. And of course, other buildings have not unlocked, but I think this is a good end to the first episode. Ooh, we got an antiquarian. We got, let's go see some new
She
heroes.
searches where others will not go, and sees what others will not see.
Our Twilight Tonight and a Dark Wraith. We're getting a little unlucky here. Usually you need a lot of, in the terms of roles of this game, you need a healer, and as of now, the only healer we have is the Antiquarian, and she doesn't even have her healing ability, which kind of sucks. But there goes the first episode. I hope you liked it. I hope you liked my explanations. If you liked it, please leave a like. And if you're watching this and you're not one of my friends that I'm posting for, feel free to sub. Thank you, and have a great time.